Big dog status, I'm a big dog bet. I pull up on the block in a big Corvette. Yeah. Riding around the city with a stick all black. Try with a poker, we with all that. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Paid $1 million and I can't go back. Got a lot of jewelry on me, man, can't hold that. So ask him better, tell him that I ain't so crack. Know your money long when your people can't fold that. I'm ballin', yeah. My mama told me that did my calling. I keep that stick, I don't do no brawling. Open out the doors and let them all in here. Yeah, they all in here. Big dog, they come back and big dog. Heavy paddock, don't break my wrist off.
Hello and welcome to the RugbyPass fan zone. I'm here, my name is Jeff Neville, and I'm here with Halde, Pottinger today to talk about Ireland versus Italy and everything that happened in between. So as you might notice, Halde is not exactly an Italian name, but he's going to be acting Italian today, so that's all that matters. Halde, how are you getting on?
Mucho bene. I can't speak any Italian. I think ice cream is about the most Italian word that I know. I'm good. We'll talk about it, Jeff, but today's match, I think, one for the purists.
Debatable. I don't know. It was a lot of good work from Ireland. I know it was against Italy, and it's a comment I made during the week that no matter what Andy Farrell kind of did today, that people would be coming at him from some angle. But I think it's important just to keep in mind the defence we were facing, but also the penalty count we had. We enjoyed, I should say, in that game from Italy. But I think overall there was 3 massive positives for me. The biggest one probably coming with the collisions. We did really well in the carries, and as a result we won collisions in the ruck and we quick ball, and as a result of that, then the offload game was allowed to come in, and you know yourself, you can't play an offload game without winning the collisions and stuff first. So the fact that we were able to get those carries and those quick rucks done meant that those offloads came. We scored a couple of tries off that too, which was excellent, and it was just nice to see that ambition, I suppose. And people I suppose rightly criticised the structure we played with, or the game plan we played with in the last 2 weeks. But to have that, even kind of Ronan Kelleher tapping, I know the try didn't come from it, but the tap and go Casey did at the end as well, tap and go for Earl's try at the end, that was top class. And it's just nice to see that ambition and that urgency, I suppose, coming into the Ireland game. And it was a lot very positive, regardless, I think, of opposition. You can only play what's in front of you, but overall for me, Aldi, it was very, very positive. Yeah,
and obviously I'm kind of in the Italian camp just now, but yourself, when your team aren't playing, then you're going to support the underdog. And I know that the first, same right what happened against England, first few minutes, I might be looking up for Italy, we might actually get a good game to watch, again, for your rugby fan down the middle. But I think one overall thing for me, speaking perhaps from the Italian camp, is the discipline. And it was so frustrating, so disappointing that the game seemed to be governed by at least ill discipline. I noted a few times, and I would say with the referee Reynolds, I don't want to go on about the referees and say that they had a crap game. Must be the most horrendous, hardest job to referee a match. So fair play. Me personally, I thought it was quite inconsistent today. I noted 3 tries from Ireland that came off relatively dubious decisions, and we may disagree on this one, Jeff. But for instance, the first penalty, when Ian Henderson looked like he fell over the ball going for it, and the penalty was given to Italy. The other one, when CJ himself actually, I think he was using his head to support his body weight going over, and penalty to Ireland. And you saw CJ walking away from the ruck, which is quite really nice of him, walking away from the ruck, kind of going, oh, like that. And again, Ireland scored straight from it. And I think Italy got done twice with it when they kicked the ball and the player in front of the kicker didn't retreat that 10 or didn't wait until the kicker came forward. We saw it first minute in the second half, and what happens? Ireland score. So obviously Ireland had a fantastic game today, but not helped whatsoever by Italy's ill discipline, and that rests firmly on the shoulders of Franco, Troncon, and the rest of the team. We're having some comments coming in here just now. Jeff can maybe comment on. So, guys, please fire in your thoughts on today's game. First one there's from Sean Walsh. We'll get onto that later on.
Yeah, no,
Job done for Ireland. Yeah, job done for Ireland. What did you see today that you would love to see Ireland bring into their next Six Nations game? Personally, which you noted, Jeff, already, I love the increase in the offloading game.
Yeah, 100%. It was great to see the offloads, and Larmer offloaded for a Connors try. Keenan got a super try off a super line, running off an offload from Ringrose as well. So it was really good to see. But like I said, that comes from the collisions and winning those carries and quick ruck ball. But will we see that offloading game coming into the Scottish game or coming into the English game? Like, I don't think so. We enjoyed a lot of front foot ball today, and coming into this game today, Ireland only had 6 offloads, in 2 previous games. And
really,
I think at the end of the first half, they had 3, and 2 was from 2 led to tries. So, I mean, the offload, for me, the offloading game leads to tries when it's done well and when you're on the front foot. But against, you mentioned the penalty count for Italy, against probably a better disciplined team or a better structured probably defense like England, where it's just running at brick walls over and over. You're probably not going to get that chance to throw those offloads, and if you are, probably not going to come off if you're not on front foot. So I think we'll see the kicking game coming back in. In terms of the kicking game today, I think it was maybe the 47th minute or in and around then when Ireland's first up and under came from Sexton. And, you compare that to the previous 2 games, we box kicked a lot, exiting from the 22, and they all worked out quite positive and they were all quite good. But in terms of kicking from hand from 10, it was very rare today. And again, that came because of enjoying a good carry, enjoying a good contact collision and getting on the right side of it, quick ruck ball. It just meant that Italy weren't defending at their peak because they had to track back, and they were just wasting time in tracking back and trying to constantly track back. And that's the hardest thing to do when you're defending, is to track back and get off the line over and over again. And, the fact that we enjoyed that meant that we didn't have to kick today that much from hand, which is great, So that offloading game I'd love to see continue, but only as a result of good carries and winning the collisions. If we're not doing that, you can't continue with that offloading game.
Exactly. And obviously Italy didn't have the greatest start even before the match began, when Varney was declared that, injured himself in the warm-up or yesterday or this today. So we had young Callum Braley coming in. And Callum Braley, he's only got a handful of caps. A lot of RugbyPass viewers out there might not know that there's Callum Braley. He played for Gloucester beforehand, but he has around about 15 or so caps for the England age group. In fact, he came up with quite a stellar group of players. He's 26 or so. He's now playing his trade down at Benetton. I thought he played pretty well, but again, Ireland are very good at the dark arts, and I don't know who's jumping this out. You got big Paul O'Connell, who's teaching them and coaching them the way he used to play. Ireland are very good at these dark arts, and it's just the split decisions. Reynald did catch a few, he missed a few. You'll see it. Ireland will do this offloaded game, or they'll drive for the big runners, Connors, CJ, all these players. They'll hit the deck, they'll do an extra roll. They'll do these little things that we're taught to buy you just that extra second. Italy didn't seem to be doing that today. Italy were going into the contact, they were getting tackled, they were falling on their back, and then you could pick any Irishman there who would just come down with 2 hands, jackal over it. And Italy, they just weren't getting it. And Ireland's defence, I thought, were very good today in the fact that they did not commit to the breakdown. But then when it became the 7th, 8th phase, they were all over it. And how many turnovers today did Ireland get?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Italian, I suppose, attacking structure of hitting the middle and then coming back out to the wings. And, Mayer got a try from it eventually. Garbisi, for me, was just balling today. I felt he had a very good game overall. You can only work with what's around you. And the penalty count didn't help him. The constant soak tackles didn't help him. But overall, I felt he did quite well. And he did really well to create that try coming on the snap, coming around for Mayer's try. But seeing Mayer play on the wing, and even Negri on the other side, he had a big break there in the second half. And then I think Traore bumped CJ, I think, afterwards, and a big skip past and out. They're creating space off good collisions, excuse me. And that was great to see. But I enjoyed that structure of coming back on the wing. I felt maybe they were trying to attack Larmer, which was kind of surprising to me, considering all the talk over the last couple of weeks was about Lowe's defence. But suddenly they were happy to attack down Ioani's side. But it worked well eventually. But you know, like we said, the penalty count, and be it in attack or defense, just hinder them totally. And you can't score tries if you keep giving away platforms like that, you know.
No, exactly, and it's not going to help when you have, you know, 2 players sent off into the sin bin at times as well. We've got another comment here. Thank you, from Patrick O'Neill. This could be a big debate that we can get into, a show of its own. But Patrick mentions, are Italy as far as head of tier 2 nations as they are behind their tier 1 nations? Is an argument to be made for a secondary championship of some description. There is a gap. There is a gap between Italy and the rest of the Six Nations teams. And there has been since 2015, which was the last time Italy won a match. I don't know who they bet then. But anyway, with the gap between Italy and the other 2 nations, there is still a big gap. A lot of people are saying, oh, Georgia. But there's still a big gap there. What's Italy got to do? What's Italy's answers? I don't know. Franco Smith, I don't know if he's the right man for the job. I like Franco Smith, and I like the way Italy gets to play. But they can't play if they don't get the ball. If they keep giving away penalties, then they'll never get the ball. So what have they got to do, Jeff?
It's a hell of a question, isn't it? Are they that far ahead of tier 2 that they're further behind tier 1? Like, it's a great question. And like, if you look at Canna today in the backline, he was the only person in the backline. He's the only player in the backline today who enjoyed a victory over a tier 1 nation. Everybody else in the backline have never beaten an Ireland or an England or a South Africa or something like that, you know, or a France. And until they do, and it's something I was talking about with Leonardo Gheraldini there last week about Italy, it's until the club teams start winning. Like, you've Benetton, who are, and I know a lot of the players, you know, they're up in the international camp now, so it's kind of an unfair comparison, I suppose, but it does come back to the club teams. You know, you have Ireland provinces who they're winning all around them in the Pro 14. You have the likes of Benetton, who are 0 for 12 now, you know. Zebre have, I think, 3 wins, definitely 2 anyway, 2 over Benetton. If they have a third, I'm not too sure, but you know, it comes back to the club team getting a standard of winning, and it's a habit, and that habit follows you through to the national team then. And in terms of bringing in a Georgia or something like that, it's a conversation we always have. And you know, people say, oh, Italy need time, but like, I mean, how much time do you need? And saying that, then do you bring in a promotion relegation? I mean, if you bring in a promotion relegation, that's an annual thing. Like, what's Georgia going to learn in 1 year? And not only that, but do Georgia have a deep enough squad to deal with having an Ireland, England followed by France maybe? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think they do, you know. So, I mean, it'll come to a stage where maybe they might put out 2 games or something like that. And it's something I talk about a lot on the Loose Head on Instagram and Facebook as well, or on Twitter as well. But, you know, the question constantly comes up. And if Georgia do come into it next year, let's say, for example, and there is a promotion relegation, are Georgia going to be better than where Italy are now after a year? I don't think so. I think Georgia get a wooden spoon, they go down again, Italy come back up, and it just continues over and over and over. But certainly 30 losses on the bounce, it's you know, what do you say to that? Like, 30 losses, 36 nation losses on the bounce is a horrible statistic.
It's pretty dire. It's pretty dire. We've got a couple more comments there, guys. Thanks very much for tuning in. Beth Kerman's come in saying chut for Casey and Baird. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Casey. A lot of talk about Casey, as everyone's trying to fire him in as soon as they can. And he did. He came on and he did up the tempo, if you like. I thought he had a very good game, to be honest. But when Casey came on, it was unlucky that we forward passed to James Lowe. It'd be nice to see him score that try. But is Casey, they're looking for 2023, they're looking for France. Is Casey going to be the answer? Is Conor Murray even going to be making it there? And yeah, we have to say something about James Lowe's hair. Did you see James Lowe before the match actually started? He hadn't had it tied up. Cheers to year 55. He hadn't actually had it tied up, and it was flowing like that. In fairness,
the way lockdown's going, I'm not too far off it myself by the time it lifts, so I can't comment there. But in terms of Casey, I did feel Casey had a great cameo off the bench, and like I really felt from last week against France when he didn't get off it. But like you said, the little forward pass, if that had just, you know, been flat or just gone back a little bit, lovely little pass for a try for Lowe, who's probably wondering what he has to do to score a try at this stage. But even like at the end of the game, you know, Ireland get a penalty, he doesn't wait, tap and go, spreads it wide, lovely pass from Sexton. Earl's trying the corner, banged over then by Sexton for another 2 points for a 38-point win, you know. And that's what you want. You just want that quick pace. You want your 9 just to be adding that bit of electricity. I felt Jamison Gibson Park did really well. He looked for breaks, and he ran a lovely little decoy line against who was it against? It was in the lead up to a try anyway, and he just kind of kept his line, but he kept running. He blocked the defender. I felt he did very, very well today. A couple of mistakes, but look, they'll happen. But Casey coming on, all you can ask is that he takes his chance, and he did, and it was really, really good. And I felt he was electric, and I look forward to seeing more of him in a green shirt.
We got another comment in there from William Wallace. I don't know where William Wallace is from, but
who knows?
Italy, maybe. He says, "Well, another forward-orientated, boring game via Ireland. What happened to the fast, furious open game that got them their first ever, we'll say, win against the ABs?" I think that kind of leads on quite to a cool point there, Jeff. Is obviously your attack is very much based in and around your fly half, your standoff, your number 10, your leader, who's basically leading the troops out. We've had Sexton, or we've spoken a lot about Sexton during the week. He came on today, and I thought he had a pretty straightforward game. He played well. He didn't play badly. He didn't have to show too much today. Don't know whether he got out of third, fourth gear, but again, he just come back from injury. I think Sexton can probably come off the pitch, get a high five when he comes to the sidelines. Job well done. We saw Billy come on, try a wee bit. Although I think he came on in at centre at some point as well. So they're obviously trying to mix that up. And then we've actually got the likes of Ian Madigan, who's, well, the last time I saw him play last week, well, he's lighting it up. And as it seems, he's not even in the conversation. Moving ahead to 2023 for Ireland, who's going to be your number 10? Because Sexton did joke about retiring, but then he took that back and says, "Now I'm going nowhere." Who's your number 10?
I think that 10 debate is one that's had over and over, and we could probably get drawn into a conversation on its own. But just coming back to that comment on a forward-orientated game, like forwards win games, it's that simple, and 6 tries today from Ireland, 3 from forwards, 3 from backs. So it seems pretty even to me. Not only that, but I mean, you have to get a platform from somewhere, and that's going to be your forwards. England won 2003 World Cup. Everyone called them boring. Who cares? World Cup champions, So I think at the end of the day, and it could be the forward in me or the love I have for the big boys, it's you have to have a forward dominated game, or at least have a forward dominated platform, or you're not going to create anything, as we saw from Italy today, and it's the way it is. But I'm conscious of time here, and the next game kicks off there in about 7 minutes. What are your predictions for Wales England?
It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a battle, I think. They're two teams. I don't know who to put my stripes on. Obviously, being Scottish, you're like born to enjoy and support Scotland and whoever plays against England. But I don't like the fact that there's a team winning every game, because so you want to see them lose to bring in a bit more interest in the Six Nations. England are strong favourites, which I find quite interesting. They are big, strong favourites to go into Cardiff and to win it. I'm going to say Wales. I'm going to put a Wales win on it, and I'm maybe going to put 3-4 pointer. Could be 1 score in it.
Do you know what? I'll just keep it interesting. I'll go the opposite. I'll say England by 4. Not saying I want it to happen, but but just conscious of time for the kickoff, folks. Thanks a million for everybody joining on Fan Zone today. Halde Pottinger has lots of stuff on TikTok and on Instagram. Make sure to get over and follow him. I have plenty of stuff on the Loose Head on Twitter and Instagram as well, with the podcast coming out too. Enjoy the next game. Thanks a million for joining us on Fan Zone today, and looking forward to seeing you next week after the following games. Thanks a million, folks, and all the best.